Welcome back to another episode of Kate and Isaiah Living Large. I'm Isaiah.
And I'm Kate.
And today we are joined again by Erin Hache. And we are going to talk about Overeaters Anonymous, which I'm super excited to dive into and talk about. Before we do, Kate, you got anything to plug today? This will be
I think we should just get right
January.
into it. Yeah. How about you?
Oh, I've got nothing to plug, but let's get into it. Welcome back, Erin.
Hi guys, thanks for having me back.
We're glad to have you. And we're all wearing the same outfits. Isn't that
Yeah,
amazing?
wow.
Amazing.
I can't believe that happened.
We
like
should have
this.
a wardrobe change.
Yeah. We used to do that. And then we're like, let's forget it.
Yeah. Who cares?
It became too much. Oh, goodness. All right. Let's talk about Overeaters Anonymous. So we kind of plugged it at the end of last episode, but I want to kind of just tell in case people are joining for this episode.
If you're rejoining for this episode, just go back and watch the last one because it's only like 25 minutes and you'll catch up. But in short, this is Erin. Erin has struggled with a food addiction or basically her whole life. Family gave her a hard time without giving her a hard time. And here we are.
And so tell us a little bit about what Overeaters Anonymous is, or OA.
Okay, thanks guys. So OA is a group worldwide. So it's not just local. It is a group that was formed because of people like myself who had no other option. They've tried everything they possibly could imagine to lose weight, from surgeries to diets to restricting to all that. I also want to say that an overeater isn't necessarily overweight. If you can compute that in your brain, I couldn't for a long time. I was like, why are they here? They're thin. Like, so that judgment, again, that was imposed on me, I'm now imposing on other people. So I don't have that judgment anymore. But when I first joined the program, it was. So it is a 12-step program that we do follow the Alcoholics Anonymous, what we call the big book. And we actually get it from the AA group. Okay. So OA does have its own book, which is like almost like a sister book to the big book. We call it the big book. So it's a 12-step program. It works on everything but the food. Everything that I've ever known was, let's fix the food. Let's fix the food. The food's not the problem. The food is the symptom of the problem. So Overeaters Anonymous works on why we are eating and what have we done to get to the point that we're at. So all the diets, all that stuff didn't work. But why didn't it work? Why am I different than somebody who's followed Weight Watchers, who's been able to keep it off for 25 years? You know, I stopped. I said I was 165 pounds or 164 pounds for 30 seconds. You know, like I literally started gaining the second I walked out of that weigh-in, right? So why? Why am I different than my sister who's a 00 at 40, 50? Why? Yeah. So that is what OA focuses on. So we don't care about the food. We only care about why we're eating. So I have 15 questions. So I just I want you guys, don't answer them out loud.
Oh, we're not going to answer it loud? Oh.
You can if you want. You can raise your hand if you want. But there are 15 questions that might suggest that OA might be a program for you. You can answer yes to one, you can answer yes to none, or you can get them all. Okay?
I think I knowing Isaiah and knowing the latitude of this podcast, we're probably going to answer them out loud.
You can answer
we'll agree to that off the top.
The point of the podcast is we're pretty open about it, so we'll let our people know they can follow along and answer themselves. That'd be nice for them to hear.
We're open. We share the good, bad, and ugly. Like it's not.
And if you want to tell a story about your yes, so I might say, yes, and this is what I've done. Okay. So that way it kind of puts things into perspective.
100%.
That we're not all right. Okay. So the very first question. Okay.
Can we go back just one second before we start this?
Yeah.
Because this is a question I've had and I've brought up on this podcast before. OA, like AA, is to deal with addiction and things like that. But there's a major difference between alcoholism and drug use and all, because there's Narcotics Anonymous as well, and food, is that you cannot stop eating food. You cannot completely ban it from your life like you can restrict alcohol and narcotics. I'm not saying those things are easy. I would never say that, because they are indeed addictions, but you actually have to eat to live. How does Overeaters Anonymous balance that?
Sure. That's a great question. So if I were to ask you, if I were to give you a piece of broccoli, would you eat 2 pounds of broccoli? Could you have a piece of broccoli and stop eating the broccoli?
Yes.
Okay. If I were to give you, are you thinking? Yeah.
I could probably not eat another broccoli. Yeah.
Okay. So if I were to give you
But if I was
a
hungry,
French fry,
if I was hungry, I could probably, a good chunk of broccoli.
right? If that was all you were given, but say you're given a plate of meat and potatoes and broccoli, right? With nothing else besides the meat, potatoes, and broccoli. And you were to eat that, and would you feel compelled to go back and get more broccoli or more meat? I'm going to leave the potatoes out because some people have an issue with potatoes, but would you go back and grab a second helping of?
Yeah,
you would. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So for you, maybe it's not so much the food that you're eating, but the quantity, which is another part of overeating.
right.
So for me, I have trigger foods, what we call trigger foods. So for me, if I were to have a piece of like a jube, I could eat 10 pounds of jubes
Yeah.
in a sitting and not even think about it. And then just as my stomach starts to settle, I'd go back and get more jujubes.
Yeah.
I
Like,
wouldn't-
I'm so full, like everything else.
And
Ooh,
then, yeah,
jujube.
jujubes. You're right. So
Yeah.
for me, a trigger for me is jujube. So I have chosen to restrict or take that out of my food. So I will not have a jujube again for the rest of my life.
Okay.
Right. But I don't say for the rest of my life. I just did that now, but it's
But usually
for
it's-
today,
Yeah.
For today,
I'm
'cause
not
it's a day, one day
having-
at a time.
a jujube for the rest of today.
Gotcha.
So do you get your chips, so to speak, like chips by not
Yeah.
eating jujubes? Okay, as opposed to not drink.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yes.
That's a great explanation.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
So for me, I have a list of what we call red foods. Things are like, stop, you shouldn't have these, right? Yellow foods are, okay, I'm not too sure if I can have this and it's going to put me into a full on binge, right? Or let me test the waters. So for me at first, chips, I could sit and have a bowl of chips, which some people can't. Look at it was like, what?
No. I can do
I could
that.
have like a bowl of chips
just
and then
looking.
put the bag away and then be okay.
Yeah.
Now I can't. So it does evolve also. So
Do more and more red foods keep getting added as you eliminate things.
no, not for me. I
Okay.
have some things that will go away. So for me now, I can have a piece of birthday cake because I know it's birthday cake
Mhm.
and have that one piece and not want more. Whereas
Perfect.
at first I couldn't.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
at chips, I could have a little bowl, but now I can't.
So it kind
I
of
keep one.
it kind of fluctuates based
So you
off
have,
of,
yeah, and you have to, and that's where the program comes in because then you start to listen to your body and listen to everything, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, so that's how the food works compared to alcohol and narcotics.
That's interesting. Okay, thank you for explaining
Yeah,
that because
no
it's something
problem.
that I've always wanted to know.
Yeah, no problem. So so that's the biggest thing is figuring out what your trigger foods are,
gotcha.
right?
Gotcha.
And it's trial and error.
And my secondary question about OA generally is it this in-person meetings like in church basements? Like
No.
okay.
So we do have one here in St. John because there's 5 of us that belong to OA in St. John. Out of the whole entire city, there's only 5 of us that I know of. There's probably more, but and we do sometimes meet in my friend's basement. But everything is on Zoom.
Okay, cool.
So there's Zoom meetings. You can go up, look up oa.org, and you can find a Zoom meeting from here to Australia.
Wow.
Like, yeah. And it's every hour of the day you can find a meeting.
I'll make sure I put that link in the description
Yeah,
below so
sure.
that people can see it if they are interested.
Yeah. And we do have like a local meeting. It's local. It's the Maritime. It's Atlantic Recovery is what we're called.
Okay.
And it's Wednesday nights at 7.
Ooh.
And it's all anonymous. Once you go into that meeting, what you see there, what you hear there, it doesn't leave. So you can have your camera on, you can have your camera off. You don't have to speak. It's 100% your program, your thing, right? So
Makes sense.
even if people wanted to go in just to listen, to see if it's something for them, There's no dues. You don't pay a cent. It's free. Who doesn't love free? When everything else is always, you had to pay for this and pay for that. So anyway.
So to our 15 questions.
To our 15 questions. Sorry, I kind of got on a tangent.
No, I put you on a tangent. But
okay, so the very first question is, do I eat when I'm not hungry or not eat when my body needs nourishment?
yes.
Yes.
Yes. Do I go on eating binges for no apparent reason, sometimes eating until I'm stuffed or even feel sick?
No.
Not anymore. I have.
That's true. Yeah. I guess in the past I have, but not anymore.
I have,
Perfect.
especially when I was young. I'll share a story now.
Mhm.
When I was in university and I encountered a bout of depression, I may have said this on the podcast before too. It was the first time because I had been, and not just me, but there had been restrictions in our household because of my mom's battle with weight loss for her whole life, because it is a generational thing. And so there'd be periods of time in our lives where there'd be nothing in the house remotely snacky, and other times where there would be, but it would be hidden. And it's like there's a whole generational thing to it. But I remember two things. One time when I was in grade 5, just needing something sweet so badly that I found icing sugar in the drawer, and mom was out or something, and I just downed half a cup of icing sugar from the bag. And then there are other incidents, like a couple of Easters where I'd eat so much chocolate that I'd throw up and things like that, even as a child. And then in university, when I hit this kind of probably the most serious bout of depression that I ever had, when I had a car and had a little bit of income because I had a part-time job, and life's pretty cushy when you live in your parents' basement. I used to stop at the store on my way home from school, like university, and buy a thing of licorice, a thing of Ben and Jerry's ice cream, a thing of Pringles, and eat all of it or the bulk of it before mom would get home from work, hide it in the plastic bag, in like the Sobeys bag or whatever, put it in the garbage, and then proceed to eat supper and sometimes dessert. So had some real binge qualities there, but I haven't done that in a very long time, like 20 years.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I still have times that I feel like I need to
Fill that
void.
Yeah.
Fill that void. Okay. Third question. Do I have a feeling of guilt, shame, or embarrassment about my weight or the way I eat?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. I think we talk about it often on the podcast. I think that's just something we.
Do I eat sensibly in front of others and then make up for it when I'm alone?
Not anymore, but I have.
No, I don't think I've ever. I don't think I've ever consciously thought about if I eat all this, someone else is going to. I think I have thought about it, but not to a point where I've done it to go somewhere else.
You haven't removed yourself to do it, but the thought has been there. What are people thinking of me? Because I'm eating all this? Yeah.
But I've never just deprived myself of something just because of that thought.
Yeah. No, I have. And then stopped at McDonald's on my way home or something.
Yeah.
But not in a long time.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Is my eating affecting my health or the way I live my life?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. When I'm emotional, when my emotions are intense, whether positive or negative, do I find myself reaching for food?
Interesting question.
In the past, yes, but not as much anymore.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever really been an emotional eater in my life. I'm more of a boredom eater than an emotional eater. So I would say no to that, I think.
I do. If I'm happy, sad, whatever, my first thought is go get some food. Go get some food. My mom, this is a really sad story, but I'll tell you anyway. When I was 14, my mom was really angry with me and said some very, very, very mean things to me. And she actually said that I was no longer her daughter. The next day she showed up with the cake and made everything all better. right? So that
Oh.
was
And
my
the
connection
emotional
with the
connection.
emotional, cake's going to make me feel better, right? So,
Yeah.
and I'm not this is not blaming my family that I've gone through all the work, and it's just what has happened and
Yeah.
how my disease has transpired and where it came from. Do my eating behaviors make me or others unhappy?
Not anymore.
Yeah, I think before, yes, I think but I think a big part of, especially this podcast, is us talking about it is helpful to get that out.
Absolutely.
So I don't think anymore. I think maybe if you asked me 2.5 years ago, the answer may have been yes, but I think not anymore.
If you'd asked me 5 years ago, like pre-pandemic, absolutely, because I was going out every meal all the time, constant eat out, and that was making me unhappy because, one, financially it's not great. Two, health wise it's not great, and then I wasn't making any meals at home. Pandemic did all that because we had to. And then had a bit of a relapse, for lack of a better term, just busy lifestyle in the last year or so, but now things are golden.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You guys are doing good at these questions.
Well, we're doing good at the questions, but look at us.
Well, and sometimes just because right now at this point in time, you can answer no. What about next week?
Right.
Right? Like that. And I'm not saying that you guys, either one of you, are food addicts, because I can't say that. It's like I can't call someone an alcoholic.
Yeah.
For me, I know that even though I at one point in my life could answer yes to every one of these questions. For me.
Yeah. And so far, like, there are times where I definitely could have answered yes.
Yeah.
But for the bulk of it, more years ago as opposed to now.
Yeah. Which
And
is
directly related to some depression issues.
Yes. And that's usually, for me, that's usually how it happened with me. If I was getting in a state of depression or loneliness or something really stressful was happening, that's when I would reach for the food.
Right.
Yeah. Have I ever used laxatives, vomiting, diuretics, excessive exercise, diet pills, shots, or other medical interventions, including surgery, to try to control my weight?
No.
I guess I tried Ozempic briefly, but that's the only one of those things that's true.
So I've done excessive exercise, diets, shots.
Was diets one of them? Because yes,
diets.
Diets. Yes.
Sorry, diet pills. Pills.
Yeah,
Sorry.
No, diets. Yes, diet pills. No.
Okay. Do I need to chew or have something in my mouth all the time? Food, gum, mints, candy, or beverages?
Gum only because this is different though. I have misophonia and I cannot stand noise.
Okay.
Any kind of noise, and so I pretty much constantly chew gum to prevent other people's noise.
Okay. I say no to this one. I don't have to always have something in my mouth.
No, I used to, but that didn't necessarily have to do with food. It was I smoked for a while, and that that's like I haven't smoked in years, but that was definitely
the reason.
The reason for.
Do I fast or severely restrict my food intake to control my weight, which is what we just asked before?
No, not now. I've tried fasting diets. The old cabbage soup or lemon and cayenne pepper and all of those bullshit things.
The intermittent fasting, which was quite big a couple of years ago.
It
still is
pretty big.
Do I fantasize about how much better life would be if I were a different size or weight?
Yes. I think that's natural for most people, though. I think everyone looks at someone else and thinks, "Oh, I wish I was them." I think that's just human nature.
Absolutely.
It's not even I wish I was them, though. It's more like I wish my knees didn't hurt.
Right. Yeah. Do I have to chew or I just said that one, didn't I? No. Yeah. Do I have to chew or have something in my mouth? I already said that one.
We did that one. Yeah.
Have I ever eaten food that is burnt, frozen, or spoiled from containers in the grocery store or out of the garbage?
No.
I have.
Oh.
Yeah. So I would always start to eat something and feel bad. So then I would throw it in the garbage can, and then I'd go back to the garbage can and I would take it out and finish whatever it was.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's hard.
Yeah. Are there certain foods I can't stop eating after I take the first bite?
Not anymore. I find for me, things have changed in my body in the last decade or so and I don't know what it is, but there was a time where that was absolutely true. And I would eat to the point of being sick, but I just don't do that anymore. But my mom would say, well, you're eating something.
Yeah.
And she's right. I am.
Yeah.
But I don't a lot of it is portion as opposed to
For specific things.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think there's certain things I have to make a conscious effort to make sure I stop doing eating.
Mhm.
Like gummies. I specifically take a bowl of gummies because if I just put a bag of gummies, I would probably sit there and just eat it. Same with like chips. If I'm sitting and watching TV and I have a bag of chips in front of me, if I didn't think about it, I probably could just sit there and eat the bag of chips without thinking about it.
Well,
but
and both of those things too, gummies and like Juju Hoops and chips, in all fairness, they don't make you feel full.
right.
They're
No.
designed to not make you feel full so that you keep eating them. Like,
And they give you that spike of
Yeah,
endorphin,
that dopamine hit,
dopamine that's like, ooh, this is great.
because I love chewy candy. Chewy candy
Yeah,
is my
same.
favorite.
Yeah.
Like you said Juju's earlier, and I was like,
Yeah.
So I have to make a conscious effort when especially gummy candy,
Right.
to put it away or limit my access.
Access to it. That's with me for the chewy candy, it's not so much the candy flavor, it's the pressure on my teeth
oh yeah,
that I just love. That anyway.
yeah. Are you like a wine?
Interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like wine gums
Like
that really. Yeah.
They're really, the more stale they are, the better I like them.
Okay.
Anyway, are there certain food? Oh no, have I lost weight with a diet or a period of control, only to be followed by bouts of uncontrolled eating or weight gain?
Yep.
Yeah, weight gain, yes. Uncontrolled eating, no, but weight gain for sure.
Do I spend too much time thinking about food, arguing with myself about whether or I want to eat, plan the next diet or exercise cure, or counting calories?
No, not anymore. No, not anymore.
Yes, counting calories. I back and forth between trying to do it and trying not. Like that it's a struggle.
I've actually actively resisted it.
I am not good enough at remembering all the things I eat throughout the day to count calories.
Right.
When I had done the Weight Watchers program, when it was heavily points based, or when I went on a MyFitnessPal kick a few years ago, I used to have a rule in my head that was like, nobody sees me eating this, or if I'm standing up while I eat this, there's no points.
Right. So it says here, if you have answered yes to several or of these questions, it is possible that you have or are well on your way to having a compulsive eating or overeating problem. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you are. And for me, it wasn't always so much about what I was eating, but it was the almost the dance before.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
100% it does.
Like the ritual of, getting a movie put on and then getting all your snacks together and then getting cozy up in your blankets and then sitting there, or like driving home and going through the drive-through and eating as I'm going home and stuffing the wrappers in my console of my car.
I've done that.
All of the compulsive behaviors more so than the actual food that I was eating.
Right.
So so OA helps me stop the compulsion, the compulsive behaviors. So for me, I won't eat in my car. I'll drink a coffee or whatever, but I won't eat in my car because I have no stop when I do. I'll just eat until it's gone. Like what you just said, Isaiah, about sitting down and having that bag of chips. If you have that bag of chips in front of you, you can't stop if you're not thinking about it.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's more intentional.
Yeah. So it's more of an intentional thing. So for me, when
Those fries taste so good.
Right. So for me, when I first joined the program, I had a sponsor. So we have a sponsor-sponsee relationship as well. So you're not doing it alone. You have a group setting, and then you actually work one-on-one with somebody to help navigate you through the 12 steps.
Okay.
Right.
And the 12 steps can be quite intense. The first 3, I don't know if you want me to read the 12 steps and what they are.
Well, so what are the 12 steps?
The 12 steps, I have my big book here.
We'll go one by one.
One by one. So the first one is, and I'm going to switch the word alcohol out with food. Okay. But this does say alcohol. We admitted we were powerless over food, that our lives had become unmanageable. So I had no problem with the first part of that. Yes, my food was unmanageable. I was out of control with my food. But I thought my life was fantastic. I thought that everything around me was great. Mind you, I've gone through 2 divorces, almost declared bankruptcy, was not really excelling at my job. I was just still sitting there where I was supposed to be. It wasn't until I joined OA that I actually got a promotion, that my finances are back in order, that I'm in a stable relationship. And it's because I've done work on myself, and I've worked on the inner part. Number 2, came to believe that our power greater than ourselves could restore me to sanity. So this is where the thought of somebody that's bigger than me. So whether it's God, nature, the river, the fellowship of the program is bigger than me. So like, I don't have control over if the sun rises or sets. That's bigger than me. Right.
So it's just understanding that some things are just out of your control.
Out of my control. That
Gotcha.
I'm not in control of my own life, where there's somebody that's directing me. I'm not, and that gets further into the program. That's step 2. So step 1 is really the cornerstone. Step 3, made a decision to turn my will and my life over to the care of God as I understood him. So whether it's the river flowing through my backyard, or it's, God as I think of God, or as
whatever your
the fellowship, whatever you want it to be.
Key point is.
Whatever you want it to be. 4, made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. So resentment, fear, sexual conduct, those kinds of things we tackle on the step 4. And then 5 is admitted to God, to myself, and to another person the nature of my wrong. So have I done wrong in someone else's life?
So basically making amends.
Making amends. Yeah.
That one's trickier for some illnesses versus others, I would imagine. I imagine you don't hurt too many people with a food addiction.
You'd be surprised. I actually made amends with my son.
Okay.
My son is 18. I made amends with him when he was 16. And the amends I made with him was that I was trying to be the mother I thought he needed. So I wasn't hearing what he was saying. So there was a lot of conflict with him and I.
Mm-hmm.
We would go on and on and on text message for hours about what he agreed and what I didn't agree on. So I made amends with him and said, I vow to be the mother you need me to be, instead of the mother I think you need to be. And the reason why was because I was scared. My fear of him not living up to or being successful, but it's not in my control. His success is his own issue, right?
Right.
So that was my fear of him not being a person. So that's getting really deep into things, right? But that's what you do. You get really deep into this disease.
Okay.
Right? Yeah. We were entirely ready to have God remove all of our defects of character. Defect of character for me is I like to gossip a lot, and I catch myself on a daily basis to gossip. Kelsey can attest to that. Humbly ask him to remove my shortcomings. 8 is made a list of all persons I had harmed, and was willing to make amends. So if I hurt somebody or if I felt hurt by somebody, to make amends with them that was going to cause me more issues or someone else in their life issues, then I'm not going to make that amends. Right. I'm not going to cause someone hardship because I want to make myself feel better. Okay. Made direct amends with such persons wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. 10, continue to make a personal inventory. So now they talk about living in your 10, 11, and 12. So every single day I do a nightly review. Was I authentic? Was my authentic self? Have I done anything that should have been righted before I went to bed? Those kinds of things.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. 11, sought through prayer and meditation to improve my conscious contact with my higher power. Praying only for the knowledge of his will for us and the power to carry that out. So I'm praying that I follow his lead or do the next right thing, right?
Okay.
Always doing the next right thing. Taking responsibility where I need to take responsibility. And 12 is having made a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps. We tried to carry this message to all overeaters and to practice these principles in all my affairs. So right now I'm practicing step 12. by sharing my experience, strength, and hope with all you is a step 12, right? So,
So a lot. So it's like you said, it follows the same steps as AA. So a lot of it is understanding yourself, then understanding how you affected other people, and making amends for those things that you did to affect other people, and then basically at the end of the day, understanding that there are things in our life that we do not have full control over, whether it be that we want to believe in a God or just that life happens and we don't have control over everything.
Right.
And then at the end of the day is sharing with others what we've learned.
Absolutely. That's absolutely what it is. Absolutely what it is. So, and I have a sponsee, so I'm helping her through the steps. I have a sponsor who helps. I meet with her weekly, and sometimes we call it dumping. I just blurt out everything that I need to say that's bothered me that week. And yeah. And then after I do that, it's almost like a therapy session. I just gotta go, bleh, and it's all out. And then she's like, that's normal. I'm like, okay, good. I feel normal now. Like it's almost somebody that you can talk to. And it's amazing because when I first walked into my first OA meeting, I felt like I was home. Like I felt like these people understood me. I could be myself. I didn't have to have any more shame when it came to food. I didn't have to have any more shame about my body. Body dysmorphia is unbelievable. Like I still think of myself as a 300-pound person, which I'm not.
Yeah.
But I still have that, right? So, and for me, when I joined OA, it was about the food. I just wanted to be thin. I just wanted to lose the weight and be a size 10 and fit into a pair of jeans with a nice pair of boots up to my friggin' thighs, up to my calves, because my calves are too big and the boots won't fit. So that's what I wanted.
Yep.
And now I don't care. I don't care. I just want to be my authentic self. I want to be able to share my life with somebody and to be positive and nurturing and just a good person.
Yeah.
I just want to be a good person. I don't care if I'm a size 10 anymore.
And I think a core principle of what we do in this podcast is talking about that kind of thing, and that, it's about being healthy and not necessarily being skinny.
Right. Exactly.
We have a motto on this podcast because it's come up over and over again, and we want to be able to eat, we want to be able to move, and we want to be able to live. So when any of those things become overly restrictive, like a calorie counting diet or where it's just like, I'm so obsessed with food that I can't move past this, and then we're not living.
Right.
For us. And for someone else, that may be very much how they live, and that's totally cool. We want to be able to move. So obviously I can speak for myself, but I struggle to move. You just walked up a hill with me and then walked off some stairs. It's not easy because I'm really heavy. And so obviously there's some weight to be lost there, and that would certainly aid things along. So yeah, we want to be able to move, but that isn't the core goal. Isn't to, at one point, when I was in my teens and 20s losing weight, like I did my first diet when I was like 13. When I was in my teens and 20s, it's like, I want to look better. I want boys to like me. And now it's like, I'd like to be able to walk a 5K or walk up the stairs, not feel my knees crumble under me.
Yeah, I was having a hard time. I have stairs in my house that goes to the basement, and there's no railings. And when I was going down, though, I have to walk down sideways because the pressure going down forwards was too much on my knees.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, Erin, you're 45 years old and your knees are already starting to give out. You need to do something. Something needs to be done. And I didn't care if I was thin. No. I just wanted to be able, like you said, to move, to feel comfortable in my own skin even.
And we also want to be able to eat. We like food.
Yeah.
And we can, it is possible to have a healthy relationship with food.
Absolutely.
And I will say, I feel like this podcast has kind of worked that way for me. In saying it's actually helped me be just more open with how I'm feeling about stuff. So yeah, I am fat, and that's okay. Actually, there's a really cute story I think I've told on this podcast before, but last year, I met Malachi and Kelsey uptown, and we were going to Big Tide for supper or something. And we were walking down the hill, and Malachi was running ahead because he's a little boy. And I said, okay, Malachi, just sit at a table. Don't sit in the booth. And he's like, okay, why? And I was like, well, because I don't fit in a booth because I'm fat. He stopped dead in his tracks and he looked right at me and he said, you're not fat? And I was like, it was really cute because it was just like, don't say stuff like that about yourself. Like, you just, you know, because he's a kid. He just sees me as his Aunt Kate, doesn't see me one way or the other. And I said, I am fat. It's okay though. I'm still awesome. And you know, and genuinely starting to believe that, and then actually advocating for myself when something isn't right.
Yeah.
And like, there's a few things that have happened in the last year that have made it so like, at one point I used to just never acknowledge it at all. And I'd like sit in pain somewhere or I'd stand in pain somewhere. And now I'll say something like, fat girl's got to sit down. My knees are killing me, you know, or something like that. And just because people are thinking it, I can't control. Well, I actually can't. I have no idea what people are thinking. Most people are wrapped up in themselves and it doesn't matter. So you got to advocate for yourself sometimes. And there's some things that I wouldn't do, but like people have started to become more aware. They ordered me a special chair at work. And part of me feels kind of bad about that. But part of me is like, this is wonderful.
Yes.
That somebody is like, acknowledge that this is not my issue. Whereas some societally, you'll be made to feel like it's your issue, but it is an issue and you should be comfortable at work.
Absolutely.
100%.
Anyway.
Comfortable at work, comfortable out in environment, out with your family. You shouldn't feel shame for being a larger size. There should be no shame in that. No. Some people just are a larger size. That's all there is to it.
No matter the reason.
Yeah. No matter.
Well, Erin, this has been fantastic. We've learned a whole lot. I appreciate you coming on. Kate, where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me at Fat Caitlin on TikTok, at Kate D on Instagram, at Kate, or just Caitlin Dean on Facebook, and we're at Kate and Isaiah Living Large on Facebook. What about you, Isaiah?
I am at Maritime Brews on all the social medias for my beer and politics takes, and at Tweak the Profit for all my video game and movie takes. And of course, we are still doing the Buy Me a Coffee for the purchase of new equipment to make this an even better podcast. And then if you are listening on Apple Music, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast, you can like, share, subscribe there. Or you can come on over to YouTube. And if you're listening, watching on YouTube, if you can like, share, subscribe over here, that is also amazing. And thank you, Erin, for coming on.
Thank you so much, Erin. This has been wonderful.
And I was going to say, if anyone who's listening wants more information, they can find me on Facebook. It's Erin Hache. Plain and simple. HACHE, no Y. So feel free to send me a private message. Your information is kept confidential. I'll just reach out to you, give you as much information as I can. No one needs to feel shame anymore in the society for being a larger person. You know, it's all about health and happiness and being the best authentic self. And that's what I advocate for. And that's why I'm in OA, because I feel my best self being in that program. So thank you for having me.
We'll put the link to the OA site down below as well, in case you guys want to look into it and see what's up further. But until next week, bye.